Today, we're going to break down one of the biggest, boldest moves I've seen from a market leader in a long time. We're talking about iFood's massive bet on AI, a plan that could either secure their spot at the top for years to come, or, well, turn them into a cautionary tale. Let's get into it. And honestly, that quote right there says everything you need to know. The stakes are incredibly high. This isn't just about tweaking the business. For them, it's a fight for survival, driven by a real sense of urgency. So why the big rush? Why now? Well, because this isn't just some optional upgrade. For iFood, this whole transformation is basically a race against the clock, and it's all because of the threat of global competition. Now take a look at this slide because the contrast is just stark. Today, you've got a company running on fixed, rule-based systems. Almost all their money comes from commissions. But the future they're trying to build, it's a whole different universe. We're talking about an autonomous, AI-powered company where more than half, you heard that right, more than half of their revenue will come from totally new sources. So, you see, this isn't about rolling out a new feature. This is a fundamental change in the company's DNA. It's a massive shift from being a simple marketplace to becoming a true intelligence platform. And they're in a hurry because their global rivals are already using AI. This is iFood's plan to not just play catch-up, but to actually leapfrog the competition. That brings us to the really interesting part. What's the engine at the heart of this new iFood gonna look like? Let's pop the hood and see what they're building. Okay, so the core idea is this thing called bounded context. Now that sounds super technical, but the concept is actually pretty simple. Think of it like this. iFood is basically turning each of its internal teams, like the customer team or the logistics team, into its own little mini company with its own rulebook and its own language. Why? Because it lets each team move incredibly fast and innovate on their own without worrying about accidentally breaking something for another team. It's all about speed and autonomy. And this slide really shows you how that platform of entities works in practice. Each one is like a focused mini company, right? The customer entity is obsessed with understanding user behavior. The restaurant entity is all about empowering their partners. Logistics is focused on making the whole network hum. But here's the real game changer. This new structure is what allows them to build two completely new, powerful revenue engines on top of everything else. All right, this is where the strategy gets really exciting. Because let's be real, tech is cool, but money is cooler. How does all this AI stuff actually translate into dollars and cents? Let's look at the two new money-making machines they're firing up. So machine number one is a brand new advertising platform. And get this, they're projecting it'll bring in a staggering 625 million reais in new annual revenue by its third year. Let's be crystal clear about this. This is money that does not exist for them today. It's being created entirely from scratch by this new AI brain. And machine number two? A subscription service they're calling the Fidelity Club. The goal here is just as wild, 12 million subscribers in 3 years. Now this does two amazing things. First, it creates a steady, predictable, reoccurring revenue stream. And second, it builds this massive base of super loyal customers. And that, you could argue, is the most valuable asset any company can have. But the real magic, the real genius, is how these two engines work together. It creates this beautiful, virtuous cycle. So a restaurant uses the ad engine to find the perfect customer in the Fidelity Club. That member gets a great deal and becomes a loyal fan of the restaurant. The restaurant sees an awesome return on its investment and, of course, puts more money into ads. And iFood? They win 3 times on a single transaction. It's a system that just feeds itself. It's brilliant. Okay, so we've covered the tech and the business model. But what does all this mean for the actual people on the ground? You know, how does this change the day-to-day work for the teams inside iFood? Well, for the consumer product team, it's like they're being given superpowers. They get to stop just launching individual features and start orchestrating these incredibly personalized experiences for users. They'll be able to run dozens of A/B tests at once and even start playing with new channels like voice and WhatsApp. We're talking about a massive acceleration in how fast they can innovate. And the restaurant team? Their whole job completely changes. They're no longer just a sales channel for restaurants. They become an indispensable business partner, offering things like demand forecasting, self-service ads, and even financial services to help those restaurants succeed. The relationship fundamentally shifts. And for the poor operations team, this means they can finally stop fighting fires all day.
They'll get an AI console that watches the whole network in real time, predicting problems like a sudden spike in demand and moving couriers into position before it happens. It's a total game changer, moving from being reactive to being proactive.
And look, none of this is just talk. The success of this whole thing will be measured by real hard numbers. We're talking about a huge increase in order conversions, a sharp drop in the number of restaurants leaving the platform, and a major cut in delivery times. The goals are concrete, and yeah, they're incredibly ambitious. So let's wrap this up by looking at the master plan. How are they going to get from here to there? And what does the finish line actually look like? This is their roadmap to lock down their dominance in the market. It's a really clear four-phase journey. So 2026 is all about building that core AI brain and then plugging it into the network. Then in 2027, they plan to use that new advantage to pull away from the competition. And by 2028, the ambition is to expand into a complete ecosystem, way beyond just food delivery. To really feel the scale of this change, just look at their business today. It's pretty vulnerable, right? Almost all of their money, 95%, comes from a single source, commissions. That's a risky place to be. And this is the end game. In just a few years, the picture is completely different. They become this diversified, resilient company with 4 strong, independent revenue streams. This right here is the true transformation they're chasing. So at the end of the day, the real question for iFood, and maybe for any market leader, isn't if they should build something this ambitious. It's whether they can get it built before someone else does it for them. Because the market, as we all know, does not wait. It's the classic challenge: innovate or get disrupted. What would you do?